Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into another episode of the Life Love Everything podcast. This is just a little pre episode insert. I have been toying with it since I have been doing the editing of all the episodes and realized that life happened when I was recording this particular episode. And I really toyed with the idea of re recording the episode, but then I had to remind myself and wanted to let you guys know that I had said that I was going to show up in my most authentic version, and that includes with life happening in the background. So, this episode is not 100% polished and it ends kind of abruptly. However, the message I feel was received in what I had already recorded. And so, I'm being as authentic and as transparent as I can. This is what happened. This is how it went. The episode was recorded. Obviously, I was interrupted by one of the kids, tried to go back and re record. It was sitting there for some time. And when I was trying to put the episodes together, I noticed that something was amiss. But I feel like the episode is okay the way that it is. And this is just how life goes sometimes. Not everything is always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be the way that you want it to be. But knowing the community and how awesome and supportive you guys have been already throughout this journey, I just know that you guys would totally understand that life happens. But sit back and enjoy the episode in its rawest form as is. And I look forward to hearing from you guys what you thought about it. Until next time, I'm your host, Tasmin Bota, and enjoy this episode. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Life, Love, Everything podcast. I am your host, Tasmin Bota. So, I've been sick for the past few days, and it's really got me thinking about the village. You know, this village that all of us moms hear about or have been hearing about, but it seems like in this new age of parenting, the village has disappeared. And I can totally attest to that. And I don't think about it too often anymore, but I used to a lot, and it still crops up every now and then, especially in times like this when I'm not feeling well and there's just no one to lean on. There's no one to call for help. There's nobody to ask to come and watch my kids or take them to school or pick them up from school or take them to doctor's appointments, which we've been having a lot of those lately for follow-ups for my Prem. And, it just makes my heart so sad. Like, I have learned how to cope on my own, but I know there are a lot of parents out there who are struggling as much as I am, if not more. And it's just a lot. Like, when I think back to when I was growing up, and I always wondered, like, my mom was a single parent for most of my life. And we are 4 kids. And I always think back to, like, how did she do it? She was working most of the time. But then I think, oh yeah, there was a village. She had sisters and friends and neighbors, that could come in and step in. She had domestic workers to help her, all those things. And when I look at our situation, it's just me and my husband, and he works majority of the time, sometimes 7 days a week, sometimes at night, like. So if we can't tag team, which he really, really, really tries his utmost best to be available to do that, the majority of the workload, the household responsibilities and the children falls on me solely. So when I'm feeling as tired as I am, when I'm not feeling well, normally it is my body's way of shouting that, whoa, you need to slow down, you need to rest. And I've also come to realize now with age, it's a big factor, because before I would be sick for a day or two, but I could shake it off. I could still do what needed to be done. And now I'm finding myself where, like, I literally can't do anything. Like, my body just literally needs that rest for me to be able to recover. And I'm finding it's taking longer and longer to recover. So, like, the minute any of my kids walk in with a sniffle or a sneeze or a cough, I'm like, oh, damn it, here we go again. And also, it's normally a chain reaction. So when one gets sick, best believe everybody else is going to get sick. It's just a matter of who's next and when. So yeah, it's been really, really, really tough. And it's really made me think a lot about this village. And where is the village? Like, why have we as a society decided that we don't need to give support anymore? We don't need to show up unless it's beneficial for us. I feel so, so sad for, like, single parents who have nobody and it's just them doing it all the time. It makes my heart so, so, so sad. Like, I feel like we have, as a society, lost the plot completely. Our lack of empathy and sympathy has just eroded. And I want to know why. I want to know why that is, and what can we do to fix it? Because I look at myself and I think, there's been many a times when I wonder, like, if something had to happen to me, what then? We basically have nobody to depend on. So how would my husband cope without me? I know that there was a time that I started experiencing extreme chest pains out of nowhere. And I was so lucky my husband had come home about 30 minutes before then. But the first thing that went through my mind was, oh crap, what if I was home alone with my kids? Then what? I couldn't catch my breath. And it literally took every ounce of strength that I had to go from the kitchen to the lounge to try and get my husband's attention, to tell him that something wasn't right. And even then, like, because I couldn't catch my breath, so I couldn't articulate what was wrong and what was going on, I struggled to even get his attention, because I couldn't even walk to the exact point where he was. And the first thing that went through my mind was that of, if I was alone with my kids. The second thing that went through my mind was, like, if something happens to me, like, I can't afford to go to hospital right now. My kid has this coming up, and my other kid has that coming up, and does my husband even know that this is happening? So it's a lot. It's a lot, being isolated, because that's essentially what has happened in my journey in motherhood. In the beginning, I had so much support, and now there's literally nothing and literally no one. It also happened, there was a time where my Prem got really, really sick, and we had to rush him to hospital. And this was, I'd kid you not, at midnight. And again, there's nobody to look after my kids. So I have to wake all my kids up, bundle them up, put them all into the car, and we all have to go to hospital. And it's just so scary and so sad and so not right that, we are left alone in this motherhood, in this parenthood. I shouldn't say motherhood, because it's not only moms, in this parenthood journey. And I just wish that we could do better, that things were different, that we wouldn't put this load onto parents alone, because I believe it was never ever meant to be like that. I do believe that there is supposed to be a village. I do believe that you are supposed to have support, whichever form that it comes in that you require. I mean, your life cannot solely be based on being a parent. We weren't, as human beings, designed to only do that. And so it makes me wonder, like, where have we gone wrong as a society? And sometimes also not having a village, doing the simplest of tasks is a lot of work. Something as simple as just going to the shop with multiple kids, especially in this day and age that we live in, takes so much prep, so much mental preparing, so much energy, that I have found myself that I try by all means not to go into huge public settings alone with my kids, just because it's just so unsafe, and that we would be a walking target. But if I had a village, I could either ask for help, or ask someone else to go to the store for me, or ask that they stay with my kids so that I could go to the store. But there is none of that. Even simple things as going to go and pick up my kids from school. Sometimes you'll find that my little one, it's round about his nap time when either of the others have to be picked up. And I can't just leave him sleeping. I have to pick him up, put him in the car, go pick up my kid or kids. And sometimes, majority of the time, I have to get out of the car to go into the school to go and fetch whichever kid it is that I'm fetching, which means that I have to take the sleeping one out, go and get his sibling or siblings, come back, put him back in the car, come home, put him down. By then his sleep is so broken that he wakes up. So now we've got a miserable child, we've got a miserable mom, because I'm tired as well, but I've still got a list of things that I need to get done. And I have put so much pressure on myself to ensure that every day I have done certain tasks by the time my husband gets home from work. So I've always got that added pressure on myself, and it's a me problem. It's not a him problem, because my husband, he's easygoing. He's go with the flow. As long as the kids are taken care of, that's all that matters. He couldn't care if the house was a mess. But for me, I feel like I have to do it. Like, it's my contribution to the family. And so I even find myself, like, with the things that I want to do, the things that I love to do, like this podcast, for example, like, it has been on my mind. It has been my dream for so, so long. But even just getting the actual time to sit down and record, never mind editing and being able to publish and all of that, just to sit down and do the recording itself, it takes so much time management. That's what it is. And it's not only managing my own time, it's managing my kids' time. I have to do it when they're either napping or my husband is around, or, there's just so many variables. And if we had help, all these things would be easy to do. Even with my businesses, with my non-profit, every little aspect of my life requires some form of support when it comes to me being able to achieve what it is that I want to achieve. And that is why, it's taking me time, because I have to prioritize, and my kids are going to always be number one. Their needs are always going to be number one. And making sure that I show up for them as much as I can is my number one goal. And I just worry that a lot of us end up lost in motherhood. I know I am so, so guilty of that. I don't think I know who I am outside of motherhood. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's also not necessarily a good thing, because the truth of the matter is, and I've said this before, that, I was a whole person with goals and dreams and wants and things that I was doing before I became a mom. And I thought becoming a mom would just be an add-on to that person that I already was. Instead, I've been engulfed in it, and I've got lost in it because of lack of support, because there is no village, because there is nobody to show up for me. And on those rare occasions that I do get help, and trust me, they are very, very, very rare, you feel so guilty that, one, you're not the one that's doing the things that are supposed to be done, and two, it's like you're letting your kids down in some way, shape or form, which this mom guilt thing is such a terrible, terrible thing. Like, we shouldn't feel guilty for filling up our cups, because we all know that you can't pour from an empty cup. And I wouldn't want to be pouring from an empty cup, but I find myself pouring from an empty cup. And that's just because there is no one to help. There is no one to take off the burden. And I mean, a weekend, there's only 2 days. Like, how much can you possibly get done in 2 days in order to replenish your energy levels, replenish your, I don't know, your battery, recharge, reset, relax? Like, you can't. Not when you've got little kids that are depending on you and needing you all the time. And it's not their fault. Don't get me wrong. I don't blame them at all. I chose to be a parent. I just didn't know that in making that choice, that it would be a solo journey, basically. And that's not taking away from the fact that I do have a partner, and I'm so lucky and so grateful that I do have a partner, and I have a partner that shows up, and I have a partner that provides support. But at the end of the day, we both need support. You know what I'm saying? His cup needs to be filled as well. And we are both just not able to do that because we both have so much on our plates, trying to juggle so much, trying to do so much, trying to be so much, and then trying to provide as well for our kids. It's not only about meeting the emotional needs, unfortunately. It's also the physical needs, and that costs money. And in order to make money, you've got to work. So it's like this whole hamster wheel of confusion, of having too much to do, not enough time, not enough support.